And we are live. Good morning, crypto warriors, and welcome back to Gem into Crypto episode 635. Today is Friday, January 8th, and I'm King, here to bridge the gap between the community and crypto every day, Monday through Friday at 10ish. And today's top story is Bitcoin price hits $40,000 less than 3 weeks after shattering $20,000. This is crazy, people. We told you that market number will start blinking. Investors can now trade Bitcoin futures on ECOs without an expiration date. Tron's DLive platform under fire for live streaming U.S. Capitol extremists. And Ripple's CEO answers 5 key questions about the SEC lawsuit. But of course, first and foremost, let me go ahead and check out these prices. Bitcoin is coming in today at $41,826. It is pumping nonstop, up 9.38%. We are about to close it on 50,000 people. This is officially happening. And one of the things we said that was going to happen at $50,000 to $60,000 is it will become so expensive that people would stop selling it. So one of the top stories I was seeing today was people actually selling their Bitcoin finally. People saying, hey, a lot of people entered the market at $17,000, $18,000, $19,000. They took that initial 2-year loss. And at this point, they have now doubled that amount of money they initially invested. So a lot of people are taking money off the top. So we saw that slight dip when we slid back down to, of course, $38,000, $37,000 yesterday. And again, overnight, that thing bounced right back up to now almost $42,000. So this pump is continuing to happen. And again, people are, it looks like are sounding like people are now starting to get stimulus checks. So that pump is happening. Ethereum's at $1,256, up 3.09%. Ripple, I know it had a huge day yesterday when Bitcoin Zay covered the show, is at 31 cents, down 5.62%, which is expected after that big pump. Stellar is at 29 cents, down 12%. Chainlink at $15.83, down 4.62%, and Litecoin at $176.81, up 5.39%. So it's a mixture of green and red, but right now this is what a regular crypto market looks like. It's volatile. Things are going up and down 10 to 15, 20% every day, up and down thousands of dollars. I'm seeing every altcoin get its pump day. So if you feel like you missed one, just try to stay in it. Don't try to jump around because you'll continue to miss those pumps. I saw Cardano just received a pump in the last week. It's up 100%. Of course, Ripple just got its secondary pump going. We know Stellar has been pumping nonstop. So a lot of altcoins are doing all types of pumps. But as Bitcoin Zay has been saying, if you're comparing altcoins to Bitcoin pairings, they are still down. Bitcoin is still outperforming altcoins right now, unless you catch one of those far-fetched pumps. So keep that in mind before you start chasing them. Some quick shout outs real quick. What's going on? Torrance J playlist, Lisa Lee, Tessa Hall, Zuri 2011, Crypto Q, Numero Uno T, Madam Crypto, Woe Be Easy. That's the new one. What's going on? Tessa Hall, Marcellus Love, Clarence Dennison, No Dylan Max, Leroy Forbes, BJ West, hello, Brown Brujita. I think I said that right. Jizzy Mac. Torrance J playlist said trading Bitcoin right now is like shuffling money if you don't know what you're doing. It really is, people. This market is crazy. And yeah, if you dip out of Bitcoin right now, you could literally be dipping out at 35, 36,000 and then come back in the morning. It's 42,000, right? Big difference. So again, make sure you are not chasing the candles. You're not chasing pumps. They will come around eventually if you're in a good project. And by and large, as the market continues to pump, as we see this go past 40,000, 50,000, the SEC lawsuit with Ripple won't be solved anytime soon. So it's not all doom and gloom for the altcoin market in the short term. So continue to see things pump throughout the rest of this year. I mean, again, this is 2017 again, people. We might, if it's at 41,000 in January, I'm calling it now. We might see $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year, if not before. We might see it by summertime. When you look at percentage points, what it takes to get to 100K, we are not that far off anymore, right? Of course, the volume it will take will be a lot more volume, but just as far as the percentage swing, that percentage swing is a lot different than when it was at 20,000 to get to 100,000, now being at 40,000 to get to 100,000. So again, one of the top stories of the day, Bitcoin price hits $40,000 less than 3 weeks after shattering 20K. And again, we actually saw this when we saw ourselves hit $10,000. When we saw ourselves hit 10,000, December 1st of 2017, we hit 19,600. December 12th of 2017. So around that time, we saw that happen in about 2.5 weeks as well, 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks. It go from 10K to 20K. And again, we're seeing it go from 20K to 40K. in less than 3 weeks. So this may be the new trend, people. But again, that's already happened. Bitcoin hit $40,000 on January 7th. Again, today's almost at $42,000, and the latest psychologically significant milestone for the cryptocurrency bulls. Again, this is the third time it's crushed that $30,000 price. The reason why that is important is because that may be the new floor, right? If we do have a big dip, we do have a big retracement, if something does happen, we might see ourselves only go as low as $28,000, $32,000, $30,000. We have found a new floor and found new resistance at that level, or a new floor at that level. So again, this is all good news for crypto people. This means that even if the government were to throw its best shot of FUD at it in the next few weeks or the next few months, it could actually withstand that. And right now, the way it's tracking and as hype social media is about it, FUD might actually be good for Bitcoin. The more people hear about it, it might make them go do their own research, because they're seeing, again, Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin and one Bitcoin. It's the United States dollar that is now worth about $42,000 to one Bitcoin. So that's the thing that has been changing, not the price of Bitcoin. Remember that. Tesla Hall said, I believe we may see that 100K before summer or at the end of summer. Listen, I mean, the way this thing is pumping, we talked about this. When it's past 15 to 20K, and these percentage points are so small, you remember at 42K, a 5% increase tomorrow will be another $1,000. We could, if it goes up 3 to 5% tomorrow, we could see this thing at $47,000, $48,000 tomorrow, right? And that's just 3 to 5%. What happens if it goes on one of those 10 to 12% candles, right? 15% in one day. This thing can pump up to 55K overnight, and it'll be reasonable based on the percentage swing. So with all that being said, people, this thing could do a crazy move and jerk up to, like I said, 50K, 60K overnight. So make sure you're paying attention to that. When some hack said, screw alt season, it happens every time Bitcoin climbs, and scumbags use it to take money from noobs. They buy garbage, pump it, and the price goes up. When mugs buy it, they sell, you lose. Exactly. That's what I mean by people who are just hardcore into alts, or just holding those alts. If you haven't got a pump yet, or if you already had a pump and you missed it, just stay there, because as Winsome Hack said, people use some of the altcoins to do different pump and dump schemes. But a good thing is that if you're already in it, you can make money. But if you're chasing it, you definitely will miss it. Tesla said, I'm expecting 40 to 45K by Saturday, but I see Bitcoin went beyond my expectation. I'm with you. At this point right now, there's no point of it to stop. People are about to have free time this weekend to buy more crypto, to actually sit down and look at some of this stuff. It's been a busy week when this thing has hit its all-time high. People haven't had time to do the research. So I'm with you, Tesla. I think we'll see 45K probably by Saturday afternoon, not Saturday evening, once people go home this weekend and have a chance to actually look at what they want to buy. Yeah, crypto culture say Ethereum is about to explode too. Yes, Ethereum's looking good. Jizzy Max said all the Bitcoin is drying up fast, for sure. Speaking of which, investors can now trade Bitcoin futures on EQOS. I think I'm saying that right. EQOS without an expiry date. EQOS has introduced a Bitcoin perpetual futures contract. Now, this is important news because we are about to see this more and more. I just saw a commenter say here, who is it? Jizzy Max said all the Bitcoin is drying up fast, and that is why you're about to start to see more of those financial instruments. You're about to see more derivatives on top of derivatives. Everyone's going to be offering it, because what people have been saying about the Bitcoin space is real. Bitcoin Zay has been saying it. As Bitcoin is going to be used as a store of value. Once it reaches that $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 mark, people will stop selling it. We're seeing that, right? So what happens when people stop selling it and the price becomes premium? Well, it's time to make a derivative. And this is the good thing, people. Companies aren't going to be the only ones doing it. If you have a lot of crypto right now, if you have 50K, one whole Bitcoin, essentially, if you have 10 Bitcoins in crypto, you can start your own derivatives platform. Essentially, you can say, hey, these are my King Bless IOUs for my cryptos or my futures contracts, and you can buy it through me. Now, we all know the SEC, the IRS, and everybody isn't going to let you start doing that. But essentially, that is what these companies are doing. If they have enough money already, they're making sure they get into the crypto market. They're offering futures or some type of derivative, and then they're paying that licensing or regulator or regulation fee or whatever that fee is in their country to say, hey, the banks and regulators and the government police are going to stay off our backs. We are registered, we are licensed, we have all these things going for us, and now we have these derivatives. That is the future, and it looks like EQOS, a Singapore-based digital currency exchange, operated by DigiNext, has announced the launch of a new Bitcoin futures product without any settlement dates, making a substantial leap in the Bitcoin derivatives market. That's the other big thing with this story. There is no settlement date. So how we have CME and SIBO and everything, they do the shorts and they go long. They do all the different future contracts on Bitcoin. Those things usually expire. So they'll say, if today we were to do a futures contract, in January we say, hey, maybe this thing goes out to the end of March or April, and this will be the price of Bitcoin at that time, and this will be thinking about the contracts, right? This one is saying with this Bitcoin perpetual futures contract that is not only well suited for the current trading environment, in their words, but is geared toward professional traders with various risk profiles, as it will allow as this exchange claims that this new Bitcoin contract is backstopped by its liquidity reserves, which are partially funded through fees and trading revenue. So with that, those perpetual futures contracts, it won't have a fixed expiry or settlement date, as you can see here, which means the user can hold the position for as long as they wish. Perpetual contracts on Bitcoin are currently offered on none other than BitMEX, one of the largest crypto derivatives platforms. Now, I say none other than BitMEX because we talked about this before. If you know BitMEX, you know you can also margin trade on it, right? You can go long or you can go short cryptocurrency up to, I'm not sure if it's what it's up to now. I know it used to be up to 100 times. I don't know now if it's like you can margin trade up to 12 times your account or whatever. But this is important because this is the platform that's basically allow you to really gamble with your crypto, right? You can do a futures on it, you can margin trade and all this different stuff. People, the reason why this is all being offered right now is because the value is going up. My advice to you is to just buy the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin, right? I say all that to say this is cool. This is really good for the mainstream market. This is good for mass adoption. And this is good for the price of Bitcoin because if people and when people start buying these futures contracts, in their head, they're going to be saying, hey, we're mitigating risk by not buying Bitcoin just in case it crashes. We're going to buy these contracts. But when they buy those contracts, the actual company who are underwriting these contracts, as they already said, they're using transaction fees and some of their own liquidity to do it. That means they're going to be buying Bitcoin with that money. So why people are coming into ECOS or equals, however you say it, and they're buying those derivatives, that company is going to take all that money and buy more Bitcoin. So again, it does not make sense at all for it to even be this derivatives market in existence. But bankers are very clever with their financial instruments. So I understand why it's there. And yeah, I mean, hey, this is good for mass adoption. So I'm not mad at that. What's going on, Bruce Biggs? Nodalin Max said Bitcoin feeds on panic, and there's a lot of that these days. Exactly. So that's the other thing that I'm curious about. If this transition of power goes smoothly, I mean, it already has not, but if Biden takes over and he's the new president and everything happens smooth in the next 6 weeks, things go back to normal, right? The virus subsides, government goes back to normal, we have a new president implementing their new plan. Will that lack of panic and fear cause the price to go down? Or will this stimulus package, the $900 billion, be enough to prop the price up? So I'm with you, Nodalin. It does feed off of fear, and we're seeing that now. But it'll be interesting to see what happens if that fear subsides here in the short term. When some hack said the UK FCA has banned crypto derivatives for retail customers. Good, they're garbage, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. So that's right. Not just the UK. I mean, the United States has done it as well, right? What he's basically saying is the mom and pops, the retail investors, basically anyone who isn't an accredited investor, anyone who isn't already wealthy, you're not allowed to get those derivative programs and those derivative financial instruments like those accredited investors are. So with that ECOS one, I'm not sure that's just for accredited investors. I'm assuming it is, as you said. And again, that's one of those things where they're shooting themselves in their own foot. They think, here, let me put the camera on. They think it's like they're doing themselves, they're doing you all a disservice by not allowing retail investors into the market. Regulators aren't doing it. Of course, these crypto companies aren't doing it. They're not allowing retail investors to get ETFs or buy some of these crypto futures and derivatives. But the crazy part about that is, and you're just pushing more people back over to Bitcoin. So it's actually bad for banks and these, Wall Street type financial institutions not to offer these products. Now, I know we're up to them. They will offer them to everyone. It's probably the government regulators that's stopping it from happening, but that's actually bad for them. So it's one of those things where as they continue to try to figure out how to tax crypto, how to regulate it, how to do all these things around it, the simple thing to just pay the government will be doing something like just buying the crypto themselves or just holding the crypto themselves, or just offering derivative platforms to retail investors as well and not taxing crypto. And that way you can make the same type of money that you're looking to do through that platform. Let's see. Torrance J Playlist said, like I told my dad, just buy Bitcoin and hold it and don't worry about the price too much right now. Jamal J said, yikes, looks clear, air ahead. I thought institutional set sell prices would have came and bought a dip by now. Time to FOMO, panic, and go for broke. Yes, I think right now it may be that time to FOMO, panic, and go for broke, because again, we could see this thing go from 42,000 to 60,000 in the short term. Now, at the same time, you gotta be careful. If this thing pump fakes, which again, I don't see how that's possible. With the $900 billion stimulus package going to businesses here and abroad, stimulus checks going out, I just don't see how it's possible for that price point to slip down further than, let's say, $30,000. But again, this is crypto, right? You never know. I'm over here trying to plug in this charger I forgot to throw in there. Boom. All right. Tron's DLive platform under fire for live streaming capital extremists. That is right. The crypto-powered streaming platform DLive has come under fire after far-right extremists used the service to live stream this week's violent insurrection in the U.S. Capitol. Now, this is important because DLive, as well as platforms like D2, are trying to make a decentralized YouTube, basically. That's the future of everything, right? People want to make sure you have decentralized ways to listen to music, decentralized ways to record music, record videos, and put them out there, because people are tired of the likes of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube censoring things, right? You remember we used to have all those shadow bans when we would do our show sometimes, and people were like, we are not getting no YouTube notifications for your show. And we was like, well, it might be because we have cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the name, which it turns out that probably was the reason. We're being shadow banned on different platforms, and even some of the bigger YouTubers out there in the crypto space were definitely being shadow banned, where some of their videos were actually being deleted. So here comes along the likes of DLive, which Tron came along by Justin Sun and purchased it in December 2019, offering it on their platform, saying, hey, you can essentially post whatever video you want, right? Well, it looks like the extremists during the Capitol insurrection also used DLive to raise donations, to broadcast it, and to also just show everything that was going on. People are getting upset about this, but this is an important story because this is what comes with decentralization. When you talk about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and the principles that come along with it, this also comes along with it. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's worth talking about because it is a slippery slope. It's like, hey, like Bitcoin, since you're allowed to pay anyone's allowed to do transactions, criminals, bad guys, and good guys alike. It's the same when it comes to like these streaming platforms that are going to be decentralized and uncensored, right? It was like, will we be allowed, or are people going to be allowed to post any video out there? And if that happens, I guess, how is it going to be monitored or moderated for anybody to come see? And the way it looks to me with DLive and the direction they're going, it's going to be like the internet. Just like on the internet, anyone can go online and click on different things and see whatever they want in the world. That may be the direction DLive is going, where, hey, you can click on this and see any video on the planet, good, bad, or ugly. It will be hosted here. So again, we know that is a slippery slope, but again, it's also along the principles of decentralization, cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin, which is what we love to see and what we like. So again, this will be an interesting story because, you know, as the platform starts to stream more, you know, high visible, noteworthy events like this, where you talk about capital extremists, I mean, God forbid they do a terrorist attack and put it up there, right? That is when the notoriety will come. That's when governments and regulators will come. As you see here, these watch groups will come. Looks like the Southern Poverty Law Center's Hate Watch blog saw at least 5 DLive accounts live stream Wednesday's shocking protests, murdered the media, lose, Wooza, Gloomtooth, and Baked Alaska. However, the organization can only confirm that DLive user Baked Alaska had actually breached the Capitol building. So one person had actually breached the building. And in my perspective, again, slippery slope, but I say keep it, because this is the only way we see things that are in the dark come to the light, right? It's one of those things where some of the videos you might not want to see, you might hate them, it might be terrible. Just like in Bitcoin, some of that money, some of the people who might own Bitcoin, own a lot of it, you might not agree with what they're doing, but that is what it looks like in a fair society where no one has a say over another human and what they're allowed to do. So again, I'm going to keep following this story because I think what they try to do with DLive and decentralized, or as decentralized as you can get platforms like that, with the government and regulators and watch groups may try to do with that. That will be some of the same type of attacks they will try with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the Bitcoin space. So always good to look at what's going on and how it's going to set that precedent. All right, last but not least, Ripple has been nonstop in the news. People, you talk about an SEC lawsuit with a company worth billions of dollars, you're going to be in the news every day. And I know they had that big pump yesterday. Hey, if you bought the dip, as Bitcoins, they said when you did the Bitcoin trade thing, he was like, well, you really didn't lose your money. Well, you kind of lost your money type of deal, right? But you had a chance to buy the dip, and it worked for some people. It dropped back down to 19, 17 cents. It's back up to 30-something cents. I mean, of course, if you bought at 50 or 60 cents, you're down and you lost money. But if you're in that range, you could still exit out at a safe price because it was still at 30 cents, 25, 30 cents for essentially the entire year so far, all of 2020. So now that it's back at that price point, people still have a chance to get out without really losing. And if you want to, if you want to roll the dice, you still have a chance to stay in. It looks like, again, Ripple CEO answers 5 key questions about the SEC lawsuit. Brad Garlinghouse has responded to the community. He is standing tall. You know what? First of all, hand clap and shout out to Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. XRP, shout out. And I'm going to shout him out and give him a hand clap because so often, not only in the cryptocurrency space, but in any industry, we see people putting their head in the sand, right? They're ducking off, they're hiding. They don't want to face the public. Brad is like, hey, I'm here for this. The SEC. And you know what? This is my point too about this. This is what happens when you have money and some cojones to match, right? I never get billionaires when they go to prison or they give away their money or I just don't get it. I'm like, you have the resources. Fight. Use the resources. That's why you have them there. So I am happy to see Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, again, hand clap to him, responding not only to the community, but also the SEC against the $1.3 billion lawsuit against the firm. He is not hiding. He didn't disappear. He's not exit scamming. He's not going to a faraway island or none of that. That's probably because he already has all his money in Monero or something, right? Jokes, but serious. But I am happy to see him standing tall. The SEC wanted a face. They wanted someone to go after. They have him. And he's not backing down. Just like the Kick founder didn't do. Just like the Telegram founder didn't do. Just like a couple other ones sprinkled in there decided not to do. So, again, shout out to Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. We know we give Ripple, the XRP army, a hard time on the show. But again, this case is important for the industry. It's important for them to win this case for the industry, even though they probably won't. But it is important for them to win this case. And again, I always give kudos to CEOs, to people at these companies who usually would, again, tuck their head, tuck tail, duck off to the side, disappear. We don't hear from them for months. He's not doing that. He is here standing tall on Twitter for whatever come with it. And that's what I'm talking about. You talking about paying for billions of dollars, people. Whatever come with it. If you talking about billions of dollars with me, whatever come with it, come with it. I have the resources. I'm using these resources the best way I can to keep this money. Because the name of the game, when it comes to governments at least, when individuals acquire a huge sum of money, they try to take it from them. That's not just the United States doing it with tax money. We know China does it all the way. They just take all your money. Russia does it. Any major government, any big government, any government really. If a citizen is amassing a lot of money in a short amount of time, making noise, that government is going to try to get it up off you. And that's all we're seeing here from the United States. And as you can see here, these are some of the tweets. Brad Garlinghouse is being seen tweeted, "I'm not going to litigate the SEC's unproven allegations on Twitter," even though technically he did do it as he said he was going to do it. And as you can imagine, there are new considerations to what should be said publicly after the litigation process starts. However, I would like to address 5 key questions I've seen. Again, shout out to Brad Garlinghouse. He has the SEC after him, and he like, you know what? I'm still going to tweet what I'm going to tweet. I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to tweet. People, the SEC, this is a Fed case. You don't talk about it. You shouldn't be saying nothing about this, right? But again, I am giving him props for doing it. Now, with that being said, I'm also going to clown a little bit because he doesn't directly answer some of the questions. Now, again, for those who don't know, I used to do PR for the military. In the Navy, I did public relations, right? And one of the things you learn, I was going to say the first thing, it's not the first thing you learn, but what you learn about answering questions is that you answer the question plus a message, no matter what. If you ever listen to most government, people in government, high-ranking people in government, high-ranking people in the military, answer the question. The way everybody's been trained and the way people have been qualified to do it is to answer the question plus the message. So people will say yes or no, or just like straight up answer the question plus the messaging behind it. So one of them where to me was pretty interesting, which a lot of people of course joked about, was Brad Garlinghouse, who's asked a question: did you pay exchanges to list XRP? When will it be relisted? The answer to that would be yes or no, we did. So yes, we did, or no, we didn't. Plus the messaging: yes, we paid them, or no, we didn't pay them. But the message is that XRP is a liquid asset on these exchanges. Instead, the question was answered: XRP is one of the most liquid top 3 to 5 digital assets globally, and 95% is traded outside the 95% is traded outside the U.S. Ripple has no control over when XRP is listed, who owns it, etc. It is open source and decentralized. Now, again, this is one of those things where you probably should not have even did this. again. I get why they make sure people don't dump it. And I think this may have been one of the reasons why we saw some of that pump happen. You see a CEO come back, hey, I'm not running, guys. We're still here. As an investor, that gives me confidence. I'm going to buy back into it. And I think this is some of the reasons why the dip was bought, right? But he didn't answer the question, which is crazy to me, because it's one thing to not answer the question when people ask you, and it's in spoken word. Because if you ask me, did I pay exchanges to list XRP, and I give you this answer, and I'm talking, XRP is one of the most liquid 3 to 5 digital assets, 95%. You start getting lost in that word soup, and you forgot I never gave you a yes or no. But when you're looking at it on Twitter in its written form, and you're answering a question that people ask you, and your first word is the yes or no to a question about did you pay exchanges to list XRP, then to me the answer is yes. And for those who've been in the crypto space, you already knew the answer was yes. And it's not just XRP and Ripple that did it. Like almost at the peak of 2017, you weren't getting listed on exchange unless you had about $100,000 to $1 million for some exchanges. I think Binance, some things were on the underground, I would say people were coming out saying that people were paying upwards of $800,000 to $1 million to be immediately listed on places like Binance. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but those were the rumors for a lot of projects. That was like just the thing. You want to get on an exchange, you need to have $1 million up under your pocket. So with that being said, I'm not blaming XRP and Ripple for paying to be on exchange. It came with the game. But I am saying for Brad Garlinghouse, for you to be this transparent, or try to be this transparent, but not actually answer that, I'm not sure. Again, maybe he's not answering it because of the Fed case, or maybe he's just not answering it because he doesn't want to state the obvious. But you should have just left that question off. No one told you had to do 5 questions and give us these tweets. You decided to. So I'm not sure why you would even put this here without answering the question. And then also you say it's open source and decentralized. Again, we just saw the co-founder sell upwards of $400 million worth of XRP, starting from since 2013 to 2020. That's not decentralized, man. When this guy started off with a lot of Ripple and he's been selling it nonstop, that's not decentralized. So I want to go there. And again, this is one of those things where if the feds really just wanted to trip you up by chinking away at your company, we know that Fed cases do that. They'll wait for your company to be weak, for you to be going through something to lose a lot of money. Then they bring the case up, and then they try to have you fight. They want to make sure they get that 99.9% conviction, right? Or whatever it is at right now. And I say that because if you say something like, hey, this is decentralized, while it may not have anything to do with the case, just to weaken you as a company, the feds may come back and be like, hey, this is not even decentralized, and start going after your technology in that point of view. So again, this was a very risky move, but I still give Brad Garlinghouse a shout out for doing it. I think it worked well. We saw that bounce happen back in Ripple, so I think it worked. But I will say, I'm not sure why he did it and not really answer some of the questions. But it was cool to see. You can see that on Twitter, as you can see here. You can check that out. And again, this is another cool thing about the crypto space, 2020, 2021. You have CEOs of the biggest companies on the planet. You remember Brad Garlinghouse was the wealthiest man on the planet for about 15 minutes when Ripple hit $3 in 2017, right? Literally the wealthiest man on the planet. You have him on Twitter interacting with people and answering questions about a lawsuit with the federal government. I think that's cool. Kudos to him for being, at least for coming to the fight. He came to the fight. He showed, hey, I'm here. Hey, I carry. What's up? So shout out. I always give a shout out to anybody who at least pull up. Hey, I don't, whatever happens from there happens, but he pulled up. He didn't go hide out in some island that we don't know about. He didn't move all his money. He didn't disappear. None of that happened. He's still showing up. So shout out to that. Yes, morphed. That's funny you said it. I just saw it today. Better get in Doge on this pullback. So Doge is going to be real quick. I'll talk about Doge. It's tricky right now because it already did go up so much this past year. Doge is at what $40,000 Bitcoin is at as well, right? But the thing is, it's still so low and the market is still pumping so much. This is my thing with it. Like many other coins, if it hits something like 2 or 3 cents, just off the hysteria, some people will try to pump it to 5 to 10 cents. And from there, who knows? Now, when you actually look at market cap and volume, you see we are far away from that happening. But just a minute ago, literally just a month or two ago, not even a month, 2 to 3 weeks ago, we thought we were far away from 1 cent happening, which is at 0.003, and we went all the way up to 1 cent. So we have almost sevenfold bag already on it. So yeah, it is pulling back a little bit as Bitcoin continues to pump. But I'm with you. I do have a little altcoin bags put away, and my vision for some of these bags at this point is to never look at them again, literally, until Bitcoin does something crazy to the point where it's like, okay, let me look at some altcoins as well. That's, I think, where we're at. Sergeant Crypto said, Brad said, give me all the smoke. Exactly. I'm never mad at nobody. Like, I'm not mad at nobody like that. Like, again, SEC, we calling you out, Brad. Brad was like, I'm here, SEC. I love seeing that. I never get it. What's the one? Bernie Madoff. When Bernie Madoff went to prison, I was like, how did this dude do like a $70 billion Ponzi scheme and you walked into jail? Like, don't you still have any billions left to put up to a fight of anything? And it's like, no, I'm just going to walk into jail. They like, we're not giving you $1 billion. Brad is like, you are not getting $1 billion from me willingly. I am fighting this thing. So shout out to him because we some warriors over here. We don't roll over, and I love to see a good fight. Let's see. Sergeant Crypto said, can't get mad at people you don't like. Use the platform. Talking about DLive. Rashu said Justin's also always walking that fine line, man. They're going to get him eventually. I want to talk about that. You're right. Justin Sun has been walking a very fine line for the last 4 years now, right? Since he's been doing things. If Justin Sun, I'm calling it now, and I'm not saying I hope this happened or nothing like that. If he isn't careful, he's going to get the attention of the United States federal government. Now, where Justin Sun has, where he's, in a good spot at, of course, is that, hey, he aligns with the party goals. He's Chinese. He's like happily Chinese. Whatever Chinese government want to do, that's what we're doing. We know that Jack Ma, that's his, he's a protege of Jack Ma. So he has backing too, to where it's not going to be like he did some SEC rules, he violated some regulations, and the government's like, you need to come with us. Like, it's not going to just happen like that for Justin. He got his backing too. But you are right. He is starting to ride a very fine line, and we know the government loves a face. So something to pay attention to. All right. Other than that, that is the show for today. Oh, Reggie Jackson said, where can I buy Dogecoin again? If you have an Exodus wallet, you can actually just do a cross-atomic swap. Trade your Bitcoin, Ripple, whatever you have in for the Dogecoin in that wallet. Or as you can see here, you can go to some of those exchanges that people mentioned as well. All right, other than that, that is the show for today. Thanks for watching. We will see you all next week. Make sure you smash that like and share. We are on the road to 10,000. We need to make that happen ASAP and get this show pumping. So again, thanks for all you do. Thanks for the support, and we will see you all next week. Cheers.